read the scriptures together. Specifically, when it involves music or singing, it can be called Sankirtan, because that means everyone is involved. So wherein if you're having a recitation or reading of the scripture, usually it's just one person and everyone's listening and there's no response. But in Sankirtan, you have one leader typically, and he leads in the singing of God's names, and everyone responds in unison. So in this way, it's a collective effort in trying to call out to God and please Him. That is Kirtan.
Kirtan was established 500 years ago by the incarnation of God, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He inaugurated the practice of Harinam Sankirtan, Kirtan, in India, which further was spread out into the whole world. He chose to use his whole life to show how one, through Kirtan and by chanting the holy names of the Supreme Lord, could reach spiritual perfection. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder, Acharya of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, brought Kirtan and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to the West in the 60s. Here he established this form of meditation as a prominent spiritual practice in the modern world. He stressed everybody to take up this practice of Kirtan, and in one letter, in 1971, to his dear disciple, Her Grace Yamuna Devi Dasi, he wrote, "Kirtan is our life and soul, so we must be very concerned to have it no matter where we are and no matter what the circumstances are there." After Srila Prabhupada left this world, his disciples, following his instructions, made it their life goal to fulfill Prabhupada's desires of everybody glorifying and chanting the holy name of God throughout the whole world.
His Grace, Aindra Prabhu, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, made a big contribution to the Kirtan revolution after Srila Prabhupada left this world. He inspired many devotees with his new style of Kirtan, which was very eccentric and spoke to the energy of the young people of today. His spiritual practice, determination, and musical talent mesmerized and captured so many devotees that went on pilgrimage to the birthplace of Lord Shri Krishna in Vrindavan Dham. Experiencing this made many devotees take up their practice of Kirtan more seriously, and in the West it has manifested in larger Kirtan events, where one of them is held every year in the small land of Belgium, in the ISKCON temple, Radhadosh. Here many Kirtaniers, devotees from all over the world, meet every year to honor the contributions of Aindra Prabhu and many other disciples, and also honor their spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, by going deeper into Kirtan.
Well, first let me introduce myself. I'm Madhava. I come from a beautiful island called Mauritius, and I grew up in a family of Krishna devotees. And I started doing Kirtan when I was 5 years old. Kirtan is a way to express your feelings for the Supreme Person, or the Supreme Energy. You might call him different names, Allah, Jehovah, Krishna, Buddha, so many names. But Kirtan is you use musical instruments, and at the same time we chant mantras. Mana means to mind, and Tra means to free. So these mantras are meant to free the mind from all conceptions, the material, bodily conceptions that we have, and it connects us with a higher energy. And this is done through Kirtan, by chanting with other people and with musical instruments.
Kirtan have on you?
Well, the very first thing is, we live in a life of stress and craziness. Everything is fast moving. So what Kirtan does, it slows everything down. It brings a lot of joy and happiness and peace in the heart. But ultimately it connects you with this beautiful energy, the spiritual energy.
What do you feel when you sing Kirtan? You do Kirtan?
Well, music is rhythm, and music is the universal language. And combined, with those mantras, it's very deep. So to be able to do Kirtan, it's not just opening your mouth and just singing any song. It's a whole process of the heart, of cleansing the heart, cleansing the mind. So that we come to a level of purity, so that we can connect with those mantras. And for that to happen, we need to be humble. Humble means, that it doesn't really mean that, you let everyone step on your head, but you actually need to feel that I have some qualities that aren't so beautiful. I need some guidance, and through prayer, through Kirtan, we express those feelings in Kirtan.
What is the most important thing for you when you do Kirtan?
Well, the most important thing is to be able to connect with that higher self. And for me, in my sense, in my case, it's Krishna, to connect with Krishna and his, devotees. And the heart needs to be transparent for that to happen. The mind needs to be at peace. There needs to be love in the heart for that to happen. So, that peace of mind needs to be there. That's important. And then when it's there, you can feel the Kirtan more. You can put your feelings more into Kirtan, and it becomes powerful.
When I first time heard Kirtan, I fell in some kind of something like trance, but it was not, when I first time heard on the earphones. And it was some Kirtan from Vrindavan. And why I felt like this? Because I felt my own feelings. The feelings which were more natural for me than all I experienced that time. And so I became very eager to develop more of my feelings, because into this I felt like I was in the place where I always wanted to be, with this feeling. The strong desire in me developed, to experience more of these feelings, And as I experienced more of this in by trying to do kirtan, I get another experiences which showed me more of me, you know. Then I started to be very happy because my picture of myself was more complete, you know. Before I thought I knew myself. But I was never. I felt like some volcano is in the heart, you know, which wants to go out, you know.
This practice actually isn't so different from others. And like I said, if you think about gospel music, or you think about Sufis in Islam, everybody is looking to connect. And song and music is such a heartfelt way to do it. And even if you think about songs that you hear on the radio, you can hear one song and you think, my God, it's describing my whole life. Now imagine if that song was describing your whole life and your religious practice at the same time. It's combining most of the things that everybody's looking for. Everybody's looking for a place to belong. Everybody's looking for somebody to love. And everybody's looking to have some sort of relationship with someone. I don't know anybody who just wants to live in a vacuum all the time. And so once you get into Kirtan, instantly you belong. Because like I said, everybody's necessary. It can't function without all of the pieces in place. And so instantly you found some place to belong. You found a place where you're needed and you're necessary.
All types of emotions come out during Kirtan. You can be praying to the Lord with great intensity. Something's going on in your life that is difficult for you to deal with, and or sometimes there's emotions that just come out without you even understanding why. Or you can follow the structure of a classical Indian raga, and within that raga you have the notes on an instrument, a harmonium, a piano, guitar, violin, anything like that, and you can play these set notes and have a melody where you sing. And this melody can be in many different moods, whether it's sadness or separation or joyfulness or longing, or just all different emotions can be expressed in these melodies. Mostly the effect it has is completeness. After a kirtan, you feel very complete.
Kirtan to me is it's a way of expressing your devotion and your feelings to Krishna, but through music. And it's like everybody can come together. Someone might speak like French, someone might speak English, someone might speak Indian language, Hindi or something, and we can't talk to each other because we all speak different languages, but when we come together in Kirtan, we're all speaking one language and we're all crying out to Krishna in the holy name to please help us.
The most important thing when I do kirtan, it's well, you must have some kind of connection. Well, connection is always there. It's impossible to separate. Like Krishna said, he said, you can never separate sun rays from sun. In the same way, self is never, the Atma is never separated from me. In the same way.
Kirtan makes totally new impressions, in which the flow of our life can go into a new direction, a spiritual direction. Everything we hear, everything we speak, everything we see makes sanskaras, or impressions, and in these impressions the flow of our life follows. So if we sing or listen to a certain music, that gives a certain message to our consciousness. It gives a certain impression, sanskara, in which our lives flow. But if there's given a spiritual vibration to this music, names of the Supreme, it will make a spiritual impression on our consciousness, and you will see how at first your thoughts will go in that direction, then your actions will follow, and finally one's whole life come into the flow, a spiritual flow which goes into a spiritual direction and not a material one. I have experienced after doing a lot of kirtan that there's a change in the heart and mind.